Jimin, a member of global K-pop phenomenon BTS, has once again drawn public attention, not for a chart-topping song or a viral performance, but for his growing influence in South Korea's financial landscape. As of late December 2025, Jimin has been officially recognized as one of the youngest high-value shareholders in the country, placing him among a select group of celebrities whose wealth now extends deep into strategic investments. According to recent financial disclosures and industry reports, Jimin's stake in hybe, the entertainment conglomerate behind BTS, has seen a notable increase in value throughout 2025. This development places him alongside fellow BTS members V and Jungkook as part of a rare category, young artists whose equity holdings rival those of traditional business elites. What makes this achievement particularly significant is the broader implication it carries for the evolving role of K-pop idols. No longer limited to performers or brand ambassadors, figures like Jimin are now being recognized as long-term stakeholders in the very companies that shape the global music industry. Analysts note that such ownership reflects not only financial success, but also trust in the sustainability and future growth of Korean entertainment as a global export. Jimin's rise as a shareholder comes at a time when hybe continues to expand aggressively, investing in global labels, technology platforms, and intellectual property. As a result, the valuation of shares held by early stakeholders, including BTS members, has steadily increased, even during periods of market volatility. Financial experts point out that this positions Jimin not just as a celebrity investor, but as a symbol of a new generation of wealth creation driven by cultural influence. Fans, known worldwide as ARMY, have responded with pride and admiration. On social media, many celebrated the news as proof that Jimin's hard work since his trainee days has translated into lasting success beyond the stage. Others emphasized how rare it is for artists to retain meaningful ownership in entertainment companies, calling his achievement inspiring and historic for future idols. Industry insiders also highlight the contrast between Jimin's quiet, private-public persona and the magnitude of his financial footprint. Despite rarely discussing investments or wealth, his inclusion among Korea's youngest affluent shareholders reinforces the idea that global fame, when paired with strategic equity, can lead to generational impact. As BTS prepares for its next chapter following military service, and as hybe charts its future growth, Jimin's position as both an artist and a shareholder underscores a powerful narrative. The modern K-pop idol is no longer just a performer, but a stakeholder shaping the future of the industry itself. Beyond the headlines, Jimin's emergence as one of South Korea's youngest wealthy shareholders is increasingly being discussed as a case study in how cultural capital converts into long-term economic power. Entertainment analysts explain that idols who debuted in the third generation of K-pop, particularly those with sustained global reach, were uniquely positioned to benefit from equity-based compensation structures that were uncommon in earlier eras. For Jimin, this financial milestone represents a full-circle moment. Having once been known as a trainee who worried about whether he even belonged in the industry, his current status as a high-value shareholder stands in sharp contrast to his humble beginnings. Industry observers note that such narratives resonate strongly with younger audiences, reinforcing the idea that success in entertainment can be built on discipline, patience, and strategic foresight, not just momentary fame. Market experts also emphasize that celebrity shareholders like Jimin influence investor sentiment in subtle but measurable ways. While professional investors primarily evaluate fundamentals, the presence of globally respected artists among major shareholders often strengthens brand trust and long-term confidence. In Jimin's case, his reputation for consistency, professionalism, and artistic integrity has become indirectly linked to perceptions of corporate stability and credibility. Another key factor driving interest is timing. Jimin's shareholder recognition comes during a transitional phase for the K-pop industry, as companies shift from rapid expansion to sustainable growth. Analysts suggest that equity holders who remain invested through these periods demonstrate belief in long-term vision rather than short-term gains. This perspective has further elevated public respect for Jimin's financial decisions, framing them as deliberate rather than incidental. Fans have also begun drawing broader comparisons, pointing out how rare it is for artists in any global music market to maintain significant ownership stakes in entertainment corporations. In Western industries, performers often rely on touring and endorsements for wealth accumulation. Jimin's case highlights a different model, one where intellectual property, corporate growth, and artist ownership intersect. Looking ahead, speculation continues about how this financial standing might shape Jimin's post-military career. While there is no indication that he plans to step into a management or executive role, observers believe his shareholder position grants him greater influence over creative direction, long-term branding, and global strategy. Even without formal authority, such ownership carries symbolic weight within the industry. As 2025 comes to a close, Jimin's recognition among Korea's youngest wealthy shareholders serves as more than a financial headline. It reflects a broader shift in how idols participate in the business structures behind global pop culture. For many aspiring artists and trainees watching from afar, his journey sends a clear message. Success in K-pop is no longer measured only by charts and awards, but by lasting impact and ownership of one's legacy. The discussion surrounding Jimin's shareholder status has also prompted renewed conversations about artist rights and profit participation within the K-pop system. Cultural critics point out that for years, idols were often excluded from meaningful ownership, despite being the primary drivers of value. Jimin's position challenges that legacy, signaling that top-tier artists can now negotiate roles that extend beyond performance and into long-term equity. In particular, Jimin's case is frequently cited in academic and business forums as an example of how soft power translates into measurable economic assets. As a globally recognized artist whose influence spans music, fashion, and digital culture, his personal brand strengthens the corporate image of the company he invests in. Economists argue that this kind of symbiotic relationship, where an artist's reputation and a company's valuation reinforce one another, is becoming a defining feature of modern entertainment economics. Within South Korea, media outlets have noted how Jimin's inclusion among young, affluent shareholders subtly reshapes public perceptions of wealth. Rather than inheriting assets or entering finance through traditional corporate routes, his success stems from creative labor amplified on a global scale. This narrative resonates strongly with younger generations, who see Jimin as proof that cultural careers can offer not only artistic fulfillment, but also long-term financial security. At the same time, industry insiders caution against oversimplifying the achievement. They stress that such outcomes are the result of years of sustained success, disciplined management, and carefully structured contracts. Jimin's rise is not portrayed as luck, but as the outcome of strategic decisions made during BTS's peak years, when global expansion and corporate restructuring created opportunities for artist shareholders. International observers have also taken note. Several global entertainment analysts have referenced Jimin's shareholder status when discussing how Asian pop industries differ from Western models. In particular, they highlight how companies like Hybe have positioned artists not just as talent, but as partners in growth. This approach, they argue, could influence how global labels rethink artist compensation in the coming decade. As discussions continue, one thing remains clear. Jimin's financial recognition has expanded the conversation around what it means to succeed as a K-pop idol. Alongside awards, chart records, and sold-out tours, ownership and long-term investment have now entered the narrative. For fans, trainees, and industry leaders alike, this moment represents a shift toward a future where artists are empowered not only creatively, but economically. In closing, Jimin's place among South Korea's youngest wealthy shareholders stands as a defining symbol of a new era. It underscores how an artist from BTS, once driven solely by passion for music, has grown into a figure whose influence reaches boardrooms as well as global stages. His journey continues to redefine the boundaries of idol success, transforming fame into legacy and artistry into ownership. As the story continues to circulate, many observers are beginning to frame Jimin's achievement as part of a larger structural evolution within the K-pop industry. Over the past decade, entertainment companies have increasingly recognized that artists with long-term global appeal represent not just talent, but enduring corporate value. Jimin's shareholder status reflects how that recognition is now being formalized in financial terms. Business analysts note that this shift could influence how future contracts are designed, particularly for trainees and rookie groups who view BTS as a blueprint for success. Rather than focusing solely on short-term earnings, such as album sales and endorsements, the industry is slowly embracing models that prioritize equity, intellectual property, and sustainability. Jimin's position sends a powerful signal that artists who help build global brands may also share in the long-term rewards of that growth. Public reaction within South Korea has also been notably positive. Commentators have praised Jimin for representing a generation that transformed cultural exports into national economic strength. In editorials and opinion columns, he is often cited as an example of how Korean pop culture has matured, from entertainment consumed overseas into a global business ecosystem capable of producing young investors and shareholders with international influence. Meanwhile, fans continue to highlight the emotional weight of this milestone. Many recall Jimin's early interviews, where he spoke openly about self-doubt, exhaustion, and the pressure to prove himself. Against that backdrop, his recognition as a wealthy shareholder feels deeply symbolic, reinforcing the idea that perseverance within a demanding system can eventually lead to empowerment rather than exploitation. There is also growing interest in how this financial stability may affect Jimin's creative freedom in the years ahead. While there has been no official statement regarding new solo projects or expanded artistic roles, industry insiders suggest that ownership often provides artists with greater leverage when it comes to long-term creative planning. Even without direct involvement in corporate decision-making, shareholder status can subtly shift how an artist's voice is valued internally. As 2026 approaches and anticipation builds for BTS's next group activities, Jimin's financial standing adds another layer to the group's legacy. Beyond records and awards, BTS is increasingly remembered as a group that helped redefine the relationship between artists and corporations in modern pop culture. Ultimately, this moment is not just about numbers on a balance sheet. It represents how an artist like Jimin has moved from being a performer shaped by the industry to a figure who now holds a tangible stake in its future. In doing so, he embodies a new vision of success, one where fame evolves into influence and influence becomes ownership.